Hello, beautiful patrons. So, picking up where we left off last time, talking about the issue of pride. My pride comes from not feeling comfortable in my own skin. I remember the summer that we came back to school. I don't remember which grade it was, but you probably have a good idea of how old you are when you come back from school or come back from summer vacation and everyone has grown several inches. I came back that year and I had not grown. Everyone else had and I hadn't. And instantly my my place within my peer group, my position within my social group, it just changed. And it's not, I don't even remember anyone making a thing out of it. It just changed in my head. It just changed with me because I fell into the trap of comparing myself to everyone else. And it's a natural thing. There's a lot of biology. I'm sure there's a lot of evolutionary explanations tied in with all of these kind of things, especially when it has to do with physical appearance. But it became a thing. And I know that that is a huge source of my issue of pride. Wanting you to think that I'm smart, wanting you to think that I'm clever, wanting you to think that I'm a good speaker, wanting you to think good of me. Just stay with me for a minute and wrap your mind around that with me. My issue of pride is a desire to manipulate how you think, what you think about me. We live in a civilized world, by the most part. And so it's not that I'm wanting, that my pride is trying to manipulate you into behaving a different way towards me necessarily. I'm not afraid that you're going to dislike me so much that you're going to be violent, that you're going to come and beat me up. So I'm not worried as much about how you act as I am about what you think. And just imagine how complicated that actually is. That I am imagining that you are thinking a particular way. And in reality, I don't have any right to try to control, or even in many cases, to even know what it is that you are thinking. Our thoughts, it is the very epitome of personal property, of of ownership. And for me to spend my life motivated by pride, motivated by vanity, all of which rest upon a foundation, a cracked foundation of lack of self confidence, what a waste of time it is for me to try to manipulate what someone else thinks. Now, obviously, we all live in the real world. And the real world, in order to pay our bills and to get along in a civilized world, it does require that we play the game, certain games, different games with different rules, and follow along and make sure that we're fitting in, blending in, being professional. Obviously, there are times that if you don't dress up, then it can cost you. Obviously, there's times that if you aren't shaven, if your hair isn't right, if you don't follow protocol, then it can cost you. And that cost may be so expensive that it also disadvantages your family in some way. So I'm not saying that we all need to turn into some anarchist that doesn't fit into society in any way. It's always going to be about a balance, isn't it? Gosh, I hate that part. I hate it. I've had that word balance just bouncing around in my mind for years and years now, even before this whole path opened up, for years and years, this concept of balance, 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 finding a balance. So obviously, one of the advantages that we have of no longer having to define pride or any other life issue from a supernatural perspective is that we now have not just the right, but now also the ability to determine the definitions from a balanced perspective. Yes, I should always, to some degree, be concerned about what you think, but I can't be overly concerned. And therein is the balance. When do I know if I'm overly concerned? Well, that's always going to be a question of conscience, isn't it? I'm always going to have to stop and take a very, very deep look inside my own life and see, what are my motivations? Why am I doing this? Am I paying too high of a price to fit in? Am I sacrificing a part of my uniqueness that the universe is only going to see once? Am I paying too high of a price? Or am I not paying any price at all in order to fit in, because I'm actually somewhere between lazy to so discouraged with myself that I would rather live in a way that causes you to reject me in advance, knowing that I prompted it. Now the rejection, the sting, isn't quite as severe as it would have been. So all of this is complicated, and that's really kind of the point. Certain belief systems try to make life simple and try to claim that things are not complicated when they really are complicated. And they try to lay out certain rules and certain guidelines and give us certain definitions even about things like pride, so that we don't have to think about it, so that we don't have to explore it. But what a waste to think of how much of our life's journey we are missing when we don't take the time to investigate our lives, to investigate ourselves, to look even very, very deeply below the surface and try to discern our own motivations. Now we're free. We're not just free to sleep in on Sunday mornings. We're not just free to go and come as we please. It's more than that. Now we're free to put as much energy as we deem necessary into the journey of exploring ourselves. Good pride versus bad pride. I now look back at my situation with the publisher that I talked about last video. I see that as bad pride because it set up a cycle of circumstances that didn't work out very well. And we'll dig a little deeper into that. But I'm wondering where you're at. I'm wondering how we know that when we free ourselves of superstition, many times our politics change. Many times our ideas about social justice change. That's all good, reasonable, understandable. But what else changes down on the inside? How do our definitions, when we envision ourselves, when we see ourselves, when we look down on the inside to see ourselves, how has that world changed? Hopefully it's changed for you. I know it's changing for me. It's just really starting to change, just really starting to get good. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Neat updates to come. That big update I have for you. It's so close. It's almost here. I hope it means as much to you when I'm able to reveal it as it means to me and to our little family. Thank you for the love. Be brave.